Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ruth Palacio. Lauren Olson and myself will be presenting Work-Life Balance today. We want to begin by extending a thank you to Andrea and the prevention team for inviting Lauren and I to the first webinar series of professional development. We're actually super excited and feel that this is a wonderful way to begin a professional development series with work-life balance. Once again, we just wanted to ask everyone to introduce yourself in the chat box if you haven't done so yet. If you're just getting on at the last minute, what role you play, and please sign into the chat box to receive the certification of attendance in order to get the CEUs for the Department of Education CEs. We will be videotaping the presentation, and we ask everyone to please shut off their audio and their video in order to preserve our bandwidth so we have a better reception.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Olson. We wanted to really discuss what work-life balance is, but to do that today, we really needed to bring it into the current times and what's going on. So we know that every day is a new experience. Change is happening all the time. This is occurring around us, within us, and as Dr. Nito Cobain simply puts it, change brings opportunity. At first, we may not be aware of the opportunities that come with change. However, if we remain open and receptive, we will discover opportunities in every situation. Our mindset helps shape how we perceive change and notice these opportunities. That's why the theme of today's presentation for the work-life balance is all about practicing patience and trusting in the process. We all have experienced change due to this pandemic, making social and behavioral adjustments that are essential for public health and our own personal health. Work-life balance is essential to living life more fully. When we deal with work-life balance, it helps make our everyday more manageable, and it is vital for our overall health. This is important as we navigate this unprecedented time, balancing home life and work. As more and more professionals move towards working remotely and also adjusting to the various different elements in doing so, and adjusting to childcare issues, especially as we move closer to the start of a new school year, this has become really important in our everyday lives. Work-life balance is not about having equal parts. It's not like having a scale where we spend and tend to work as many hours as we tend to our personal life. It's much different than that. It is not static over time, which just means that it is going to change for us as time unfolds. We might have been able to practice good work-life balance prior to the pandemic, but maybe now we're finding that our regimen and our practices do not fit our current circumstance. So that's what I mean by work-life balance is not static over time. And the same can be true for 5 years from now. What applies today might not apply a couple years down the road. Change can often be a perfect time to reevaluate how we approach life. As we work through the new normal, enhancing our self-care practices can support a more work-life balance regimen.
The importance of self-care, excuse me, because I have a little bit of a sore throat today. We begin by the idea, understanding that we cannot bring anyone further than we have come. If we do not take care of ourselves, we are unable to take care of others from a place of centered and groundedness. So self-care is truly the gateway of managing our own stress, of living in our present moment, and really of being our best selves. Being our best self so that we can then show up for others from a place of energy, from a place of caring for yourself and being able to give from a replenishment, not from exhaustion, not from lack of. We come from a centered, calm, and balanced place. Excuse me. The entire process of self-development, professional development, the truth is it all begins with you. The better you take care of yourself, the better you're able to take care of others. This is our whole concept, particularly as our entire world, as we understood it, our entire personal routines and our entire balance has been sort of on recalibration. It has just thrown us into uncertainty. It has thrown us into reevaluation. So these are the reasons it is so important to begin to proactively reevaluate how I take care of myself. And as Lauren just mentioned, what may have applied 6 years ago, 6 months ago, may no longer serve because everything else is different. So we may have to really value and reevaluate the same way. If you go the wrong way in the car and the navigator says, recalibrating, we must learn, reevaluate everything and how everything that may have served me, how is it serving me today? What do I need to fine tune? What do I need to upgrade, release, and really do that to proactively prepare ourselves for what is coming up. And truly what is coming up is really the uncertainty. Staying creative, staying flexible, and staying curious. Those are 3 very valuable ideas that will help us walk through the new normal, reevaluating in order to tap into perhaps skills that we haven't even known that we had. Creativity is an incredible way of figuring things out in a new way. It's actually what brings us here today, is the idea that due to what has gone on, we are no longer face-to-face doing presentations, and we've tapped into creativity, and now we touch so many more people in a certain amount, in a small time in Zoom, and we're able to do presentations in a way we never, and reach people we never were able to do before. So staying flexible to how to do this, learning new things that you're not even certain that you knew before, and allowing some curiosity, because the world of Zoom didn't exist in my world 6 months ago. And now we're doing presentations. So the truth is it really brings us opportunity to expand and stretch ourselves. But it does all begin with you, taking care of you in order to be my best self, to be so clear that I am able to stay open. I am able to get creative with myself. And I am able to stay curious as to the things I did not know about myself before. With that said, as Laura mentioned, our main themes for the presentation are about practicing patience and trusting the process. We're going to go into this a little bit further here. But as current conditions have changed and all our balance has been shifted a bit, we recognize that trusting the process is really saying, well, trust the uncertainty, which means you're stepping into, we are all stepping into vulnerability. Things are not necessarily the way they were, and they're not stable yet in the new way. So we're in the process, and practicing patience is the process. It's the process that really just helps you work through the new. You're muted. You're still muted. Okay, now you're there.
Okay.
Welcome back.
So some of the elements in terms of practicing patience and trusting the process we're going to go through right now. And the first one is awareness. And this is about being non-judgmental, living in the present, being mindful, right? And that's how we gain awareness. And have you ever said to yourself, oh, there I go again, my mind's wandering? First, I want to discuss the difference between the mind and our awareness. The mind does not wander. It is made up of different spaces that hold our past experiences, our emotions, our thoughts. Our awareness is what moves through these spaces within our mind, and it is our awareness that can wander. So here's what I mean by awareness wandering. So I receive a phone call, and my friend starts venting about her day. A few minutes into it, I suddenly realize I do not know what she's talking about. Because for the last few minutes, my awareness has shifted from the sound of my friend's voice to making mental notes of the things that I need to get done around the house, and the laundry that needs to get done, and the grocery list. Right? And so then my awareness shifted. And because of that, I missed out on truly being present for my friend. Sound familiar? Can anyone relate to being distracted from the present moment? This is about keeping our awareness in the here and now. Focusing our awareness in the present moment is a skill of being mindful, just like any other skill needed to play a sport or a musical instrument. Practice is the only way we'll get better at anchoring our awareness in the here and now. So if you could join me, I want to walk you through a brief exercise to show exactly what I mean. Let's begin first by adjusting our sitting position to be more comfortable. Breathe in deeply through your nose, noticing the cool air filling your nostrils. As you breathe in, breathe out slowly through your mouth, observing your breath. Continue with another deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Now, take a moment and look around you. Observe what's in front of you. The light from the computer screen, the color of your keyboard, maybe you have a mouse next to your computer. Describe to yourself details of those objects. Now turn your awareness to the sounds you hear. Describe them to yourself. Maybe your awareness is solely on my voice. Maybe the fan of your computer just kicked on, or someone's mowing the grass outside. Lastly, bring your awareness to your feet. Are they flat on the ground? Are your ankles crossed? Maybe your legs are crossed at the knees. Now take a moment and close your eyes. I would like you to recall the last wedding or birthday party you attended. Go through your memories and try to remember as much as possible about the event, such as who was it for? Try to remember specific details, like what you were wearing. Was the event inside or outside? Fall, summer, winter? Was there music playing? Who were you speaking with? Did you laugh a lot? Who did you spend the most time with? What was the most memorable moment of the event? Go in detail about that moment. Now take a moment, open your eyes. Let your eyes adjust back to the light. Breathe in through your nose. Notice your breath as you inhale. Breathe out slowly through your mouth. Now turn your attention to the present, which is your computer screen, the keyboard, maybe the mouse next to your desk. describe them. You can touch them with your fingers, feel, notice the new sounds that might be in your awareness, or are you still just mainly focused on my voice? Take a moment and observe the position of your feet. And finally, bring your awareness to your posture. Are you sitting in a relaxed position? Is your spine straight or curved? Your awareness is in the here and now. We all just experienced in shifting our awareness from the present moment and moving it through different spaces within our mind in order to remember details of a past event. We also proved to ourselves that we can bring our awareness back into the here and now, observing and describing our surroundings intently. This is how we can anchor ourselves in the here and now, and practicing this process makes it quicker and easier to do over time. If we do not do it perfectly, no worries, keep practicing. If we can practice without judging ourselves, we can stay non-judgmental, not only with ourselves, but that gives us the practice to be non-judgmental with others as well. Being present in the moment is how we deepen our awareness. It is how we deepen our connections. We must practice this skill, anchoring our awareness in the now. This is essential because the present is all that exists. And the more we embrace the present, the more we live and enjoy the moment.
So, patience. We said that patience was the process. Patience is the process that gets us and leads us to inner peace. St. Francis de Sales said, do everything in a calm spirit. As Lauren just took us through a beautiful mindful exercise using the breath, we once again reinforce how breathing is a direct link to connecting with ourselves and to reducing stress. It regulates our heart rate and it lowers blood pressure. And we can do it anytime, anywhere, and it is complimentary. There is no fee attached to learning to breathe, but noticing the breath is so valuable when we're practicing patience. It also has to do with a mindset of being kind to yourself first. Again, we cannot give away what we don't have. If we're not coming with a compassionate heart and showing up for ourselves that way, we have no business showing up for others that way. It isn't authentic if we're not practicing it with ourselves. Being kind to yourself, it is so valuable. With everything, intentionally, treating yourself kindly, releasing judgment, releasing perfection, releasing what no longer serves. Using an intentional pause is also a very nice practice to patience. It is really about utilizing the mindfulness to being still, to notice through the breath, and to observe using all your senses, to slow down, just to slow down. Very often, we're sending an email, press send, we have a lot happening. There's a lot of stressors going out. We're doing so many different roles and juggling so many different responsibilities at the same time. When we take an intentional pause, it actually enables us to just step back for a quick moment so that we can come and respond from clarity. There are moments we just may press send and then in 2 seconds regret. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt that way, where they press send in an email and then 2 minutes later or 30 seconds later felt like, oh, I should have written that differently, or I shouldn't have snapped, possibly with a colleague or a family member, loved one, or a friend. And often that's because we're coming from emotion, we're coming from overextended, perhaps exhaustion, depletion. So the idea of taking an intentional pause to, once again, ground yourself, center yourself, get back into balance. So rather than react, I can stop for a moment, pause, in order to respond from clarity and from my own kindness. If I'm being kind to me, then it's easy to be kind to others. If I'm short with me, it's easier to be short with others. And using what we call the 72-hour rule, when you come upon a big decision, a decision in your life that you feel, again, trust the process, allowing the patience, allowing things to formulate themselves and show you, gather the information prior to making a decision, giving yourself 72 hours, waiting for the right moment, and waiting from kindness, not from short impatience, waiting for the right moment to present itself before you take the action. If it's a good idea today, it will continue to be a good idea in 72 hours. It also gives you a little bit of time to communicate with other people, perhaps get some feedback, a different perspective on a question or a situation, and you gather information so that you do come from a place that you're comfortable with and clear. This is all components of practicing patience. As you continue to practice patience, you become more anchored and mindful, and you're able to respond more clearly, which leads to calm. The next component of self-care that we feel is very, very valuable at all times, no matter where, is healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries, it's the art of healthy boundaries. Again, healthy boundaries begin and end with me. They start right here. It's truly my lines. Boundaries offer telling others my lines, my yeses and my nos. They create clarity. It protects us. Lines protect us when we know where it says no trespassing. That could be a protection. So you don't trespass there because it's protecting you. It is my personal yes and no. I'm completely in charge of my yeses and nos. It gives me freedom to create around my yeses. And it also gives me value as to what the no's are. And often we have a lot of difficulty communicating clearly, perhaps because we feel guilty or we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. Rather than focusing on the other person, we encourage everyone to stay with you, stay with I. I statements are a most clear form of effective communication because you're not blaming someone else or explaining to someone else. You're just clarifying your lines, you're clarifying your space. It also lands a little softer on someone else's ear when you say something like, I would really appreciate if you would knock on the door before entering. You're just telling them what your lines are. And those lines extend because what it does is also provide respect for yourself. And there's a saying, those things which others do to us, we teach them and we allow them to do. Which means that sometimes we have to train ourselves to be a little bit more effective in how we communicate clearly to someone, asking clearly what I need from you. I need you to wait till 3 o'clock to meet so that we can really go through this, and I want to be focused 100%. I need you to send me the information so I'm prepared to go over it tomorrow morning. When we tell people what we need from them, it helps us to create our lines, to create our self-value and our respect, but it also helps other people to understand what your yeses and nos are. And learning to say no, as we said, sometimes it's tricky. We feel like, oh, I can't say no, or I want to help them. And we're very much, many of us are in a helping field, and we provide services. We cannot give from the empty well. So rather than considering that I'm saying no to you, perhaps think of it, I'm actually not saying no to you. I'm saying yes to me. I'm saying yes to me because I'm listening to myself, and I know that right now I need to just relax or breathe. I need to take a few minutes to have a bite to eat before our meeting, whatever it may be. And if you trust and allow to listen to your own internal compass, which we call the yeses and nos, it'll take care of you. And it'll give you a clearer ear to listen to your inside, to know what is a yes and what is a no. And that is your internal voice.
Trusting in the process. This is the last element in which we are focusing on today for work-life balance. And it really is fundamental in terms of how we get through difficult times. And we're all experiencing things being a little different. And I mean, even just the other day, running into a convenience store, you know, and walking up to the door and having to go back to my car and just remembering, oh, I forgot to put my mask on. So things that were just everyday tasks become a little bit more, you know, needing a pause, needing some mindfulness because of all the different new regimens that we have to follow to protect ourselves and to protect others. And so trusting in the process is all about connections. And this is connections within ourselves and external connections. So internal connections is really boils down to prayer and meditation. Connecting with your higher power or with energy or nature, or even more fully within yourself. Right? And so how can we use prayer and meditation, you know, during work? It's about, you know, utilizing positive affirmations, having those positive mantras that we can take a pause, because we touched nicely on the intentional pause. When things seem overwhelmed or we, you know, are a little anxious at work, it's just taking a moment, saying some positive affirmations or mantras to ourselves. Maybe, you know, having a short little prayer that we can say before we walk into a big meeting or before, you know, we do something that really needs our full attention, just to give us a little bit of a reduction in anxiety, taking some deep breaths, practicing being still. Many times we are in this world of multitasking and everything's go, go, go. We forget that there are appropriate times to just stay still. You know, we deal with, Ruth and I, we educate and we work with a lot of recovery specialists who perform bedside interventions in hospitals. So they're going to meet patients at their most crisis moment. They're in the emergency room. They're in crisis medically, maybe, you know, indirectly or directly as a result of their substance use. And sometimes it can be chaotic. And one of the things that Ruth and I have taught our recovery specialists and continue to remind them through self-care practices is to take a pause, to take a deep breath, to not always feel like you have to rush into the room because you were asked or deployed to that bedside. 5, 10 seconds sometimes is enough, where you just stand there and you take some deep breaths, you center yourself, you anchor yourself into calm, and then you become the calming force in a chaotic environment because you just reduced your level of anxiety or your level of overwhelmness or racing thoughts to a little bit more calm. At work, if you have time and you're in a situation where you could take a break and walk outside. Many of times, back in the old days, you see like the smoking breaks. We can also take fresh air breaks, right? So even if you're a non-smoker, you can go outside and take a fresh air break. Center yourself. Enjoy the sun that's out today. Breathe in some clarity and some calm. In our personal life, when we talk about prayer and meditation, it could be, religious prayer. It could be yoga, meditation, walks on the beach. There's nothing for me personally more calming than walking on the beach and feeling the sand between my toes, feeling the coolness of the salt air, hearing the waves kind of fill my mind up, distracting me from my racing thoughts so I can just concentrate on the present moment and be mindful of what I'm doing in that present moment. If beach is not your thing, hiking, walking down a bike path, sitting in a comfortable location at your residence sometimes can be a calming force in itself and really bring you to a meditative state in which you get to be closer and connected with you. Also attending religious services as well. So these are all things in the workplace, in our own personal life, that we can utilize prayer and meditation to be more connected with ourselves, to be more connected with our higher power or with any other energy source or Gaia, Mother Earth, or whatever we use as our stabling force to stay anchored to and be more connected. And support networks are essential for all of us, whether we work in the helping profession, whether we are dealing with our daily lives. Having a support network, connection with family, friends, community peers, and professional supports are vital to keep us balanced. Work utilizing additional resources through our employer, employee assistance program, our supervisors, our managers, really tying into positive coworker relationships are essential. And in our personal life, it's using peer support groups, attending trainings such as this, using helplines, speaking with friends and family regularly, engaged in community activities such as book clubs, self-help mutual support groups, other community groups, and really utilizing therapy and counseling if necessary. Ruth and I have presented on fundamental practices that can help us all stay more centered within ourselves, more connected, which leads to practicing more patience and trusting in the process. These simple practices are the foundation to work-life balance. Practicing patience with yourself, as Ruth has already mentioned, is essential if we're going to practice patience with others. You cannot do for others what you are unwilling to do for yourself, and trusting in the process are essential to aligning both work and life to our overall goals in maintaining wellness. Our life is fast-paced. Our lives are always on due to social media and technology and emails and phones. So let us all take a deep breath. Take notice of all things. Do not rush past the lessons that patience and time can offer us. Trust in the process by practicing self-care and staying connected. Let us all take a moment to watch a powerful video from Trent Shelton, who sums up patience and trust and trusting the process perfectly. He is a former D1 football player, and he was drafted to the NFL. And during that time in the NFL, he experienced some hardships and went through some depression and dealt with some substance use. He has since reinvented himself and is currently a highly sought after motivational speaker, YouTuber, and author. So here's Trent Shelton. Enjoy this video clip on patience and trusting the process.
I remember going to Little Rock, Arkansas when I was a little kid. And my grandfather, he had this garden. He grew up on a farm, so he was a gardener. I was far from it. But he had this garden, and every time we would go there, I would be like so intrigued of the process of planting a seed and watching that seed grow. Because I'm a firm believer in life now that every seed you plant will grow, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. And so we'll go there and we'll plant these seeds, different seeds, just different crops we wanted to plant. And I remember one specific time when I was down there and we planted seeds. I was probably like 7 years old. Literally, we planted the seeds, and 2 hours later, I went to my grandfather. I was like, "Grandfather, we must have did something wrong because, like, we planted the seed 2 hours ago. Nothing has happened." And my grandfather always said, "Trent, just be patient and trust the process." So, you know, at 7 years old, 6 years old, I think patience is 2 hours later. So I go back to him 2 hours after that and say, "Grandpa, listen, I'm like, it's 2 hours, it's 4 hours now. We planted the seed, nothing has happened." He said, "Trent, just be patient and trust the process." So patient to me then meant tomorrow. So the next day I go to my grandpa and say, "Grandpa, look, we did something wrong. Like, nothing has happened. We planted this seed. I thought we did it right." He said, "Trent, just be patient and trust the process." So that whole process of me coming to him lasted till we left back to New Orleans. And I remember a few months later, he called and he asked to speak to me. He said, "Trent, guess what? That seed that we planted, it's time for the harvest." That crop grew. And he said, in life, always have this mindset. Just be patient and trust the process. And so a lot of people look at my life now and they see me traveling the world, speaking all across the world, and they see Rehab Time, millions of people, and they think it was an overnight thing. It took a lot of long nights. It took me going to places where one person would show up, 10 people would show up, where nobody was watching my videos. But I knew, just like my grandfather was teaching me, if I did the right things, put in the work, if I had faith, if I believed the odds were beatable even when the odds say it's impossible, then that harvest will come. It's been a decade, it's 2019 now. And the seeds I planted back in 2009 are now showing up. My point in making this video is to ask you this question. Are you being patient? Are you trusting the process? We live in a social media era where I like to call it microwave era. You see so many people start something today and they expect the result tomorrow. They expect the result next week. They expect the result next month. They expect the result at the end of the year. And a lot of people quit because those results don't show up on their time. Anything that takes time to build is powerful. Great things take time. So remember this. As long as you're watering the seed by hard work, dedication, commitment, consistency, doing the things that you know you need to do, just know that growth is going to happen.
He's a powerful speaker. He has an incredible message. It becomes about our dedication, hard work, and consistency. Our times are changing around us. What has not changed is our need to take good care of ourselves. It actually has increased, if anything. There are an enormous amount of resources, particularly if we Google them online. There's many resources on self-care and new ways, because we recognize the value and how important it is for us to connect to ourselves, to connect to others, and to stay calm and to stay healthy inside out from head to toe. Some of the resources offered online that we have encouraged and used are calm.com, headspace.com. Headspace.com now offers a specific health .covid-19, and there's also additional ones. I see people are writing them. The Mental Health Association national organization has a lot of blogs and a lot of articles on taking good care of yourself, as does psychology.com, Psychology Today, and the Harvard .egg has a lot of different blogs. We encourage whatever it is, a daily discipline, a patient practice, being proactive, protecting and honoring yourself, your boundaries with patience is the way to go. Thank you for having us be part of today. In addition to that, we
just wanted to share, RWJBarnabas Health Institute for Prevention and Recovery offers nicotine and tobacco recovery programs. So we just wanted to let everyone know that it is open to the community. They do serve adolescents. That does not include the nicotine replacement therapy, but it does have the support group and counseling tagged to it. And these slides will be shared, so you will have this resource in hand very shortly. We just wanted to let this be known that it's open to anyone in the community that would like some nicotine tobacco cessation. Also, another resource that can be very helpful is we offer Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, twice a day, all recovery meetings. And these meetings are for loved ones, for individuals with substance use disorder, individuals recovering from anything. And that's why they're called all recovery meetings. Anyone can attend them. Support systems to those still struggling or living in recovery from different things. It's an all recovery meeting, meaning everything is game. And it's just another mutual self-help group that we help facilitate through our system, and it's open to the community as well.
The DART Prevention Coalition is also part of the Institute for Prevention and Recovery, taking aim at substance abuse, particularly in Ocean County. You can visit our website at rwjbh.org/DART. And if you have any questions, we can also reach out to Abby Thompson, who is our Youth Prevention Manager for Ocean County. In addition, I just wanted to answer, someone had asked if vaping was also included in our nicotine and recovery program, and the answer is absolutely yes. Very effective.
One last note, everyone, please make sure you sign in the chat box before you leave the meeting. If you need New Jersey Department of Ed continuing education credits or a certificate of attendance today, make sure you sign in with your name and your email address so we can get that to you. Thank you.
And thank you very much for having us. Thank you for participating and attending. Work-life balance, and we will open it now to any questions that any of the participants, attendees might have. Our information is on here. We're also going to share this slide with the video link minus the embedded video, because otherwise it'd be too large to share. We'll share it with Andrea and her team, and she will blast it out to all the attendees as well, so you have all the resources that we just went over at the end as well. So any questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask them as well.
The gentleman's name from the video is Trent Sheldon. And he has a blog and an online service named Rehab Time.
I put his name in the chat as well because it's with a T. But we will also, you'll have the link to that actual video, which will bring up more in YouTube that he does, because he talks on various different topics, because it's not just substance use, it's every topic that he gets questions about and requests for. So he's pretty dynamic in with a lot of different topics.
I also forgot to mention there's a very brief survey. I put the link in the chat box. It's a SurveyMonkey survey, just to help us get an idea of whether this program was effective for you and what else you'd like to see. You take a few minutes. It's very brief. It's less than 10 questions to click on that link in the chat box and take the exit survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for having Lauren and I present today. We're really happy about it.
Thank you for being a part of our series.
I just learned something new, that you can put a link in the chat box and have them, it directly takes them there.
Really?
Always learning.
You are.